In the 10 days between February 13th and February 23rd, I received at least 17 emails from the Democratic National Committee. All of them are asking me for money and telling me how bad Trump is without presenting even a modicum of a plan of action for what the Democrats are going to do about any of it. And now Democratic donors, big and small, are starting to pull the plug. Will a decrease in dollars finally be the thing that gets Democrats to listen to the chorus of people asking them to do, I don't know, anything? And what even is the DNC's plan that they are so intent on getting my money to enact? Without an updated strategy and a Democratic Party that knows how to actually talk to people, there's a very real possibility that this two-party system we've been stuck with will quickly become a one-party system. Let's get into it. Have you ever tried doing a Google search of your name? I did a search of my name and found some of my personal contact information online. Don't love that for me. The internet can create a real danger to your personal safety in a lot of ways, not least of which being the ability for anyone anywhere to find your information, either to locate you or to steal your identity. And that's spooky. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use this information to help them access my social media accounts, bank accounts, or other sensitive information. To protect your data in case of a breach, it's usually recommended to use strong passwords, monitor account activity, and consider credit freezes or fraud alerts from credit bureaus. And Aura does all of this for me. Aura also offers services like antivirus protection, VPNs with safe browsing, 3-bureau credit monitoring, spam call protection, spam and junk mail removal, and more. And best of all, I don't have to download several different apps just because a company couldn't keep my data secure. Aura is always on, always doing the hard work of keeping me safe. If protecting yourself from data breaches is something you're interested in, you can go to aura.com/Leeja to start your 2-week free trial, also linked below in the description. Thanks, Aura. From what I and most other people I've talked to, and the people who are in my comments section, and the people who are writing articles online, from what we can all tell, the Democratic Party has no plan and is doing very little in the way of actually standing up against Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the rapid disintegration of the government and of democracy. A little bit ago, I made a video laying out some very real concrete tactics Democrats could take to slow down the process as much as possible. They are, of course, the minority party, and there's only so much they can do to stop the onslaught of Trump actions. They had the Project 2025 blueprint for a full year and a half before Trump took office to help them plan, but hey, woulda, coulda, shoulda, am I right? The other day I listened to an absolutely infuriating episode of the NPR Politics podcast, which addressed basically what I was talking about in that video, but they said that Democrats simply can't do anything, and now those Democrats are the victim of an onslaught of constituent phone calls telling them to fight back, and the problem is really that their constituents are just a bunch of big giant dummies, and there needs to be better education around how government works so that these idiots get that the Democrats just can't do anything. I'd like to suggest that those journalists leave Washington, D.C. like even once to see what's happening in the rest of the country and stop insulting their listeners by saying that asking for more from our congresspeople is just stupidity due to the fact that we don't know how government works. The reality is that Democrats do not have a clear strategy. They made zero contingency plans for a Trump win and now are completely clueless as to how to build any sort of cohesive strategy to move forward, win back voters, and show us that they are actively working to thwart as much of Trump's agenda as they can. First, an examination of the existing DNC strategy to get a big picture idea of what they are doing. Maybe they are trying really super hard and I just haven't been paying close enough attention. I started at the source, the DNC website, democrats.org. Now, just to get a lay of the land, the DNC, or Democratic National Committee, is a political party. As such, they're not going to necessarily be involved in like the day-to-day running of government or in funding and promoting individual causes. Their primary function is promoting a national platform and then getting people elected at both the national and local level. However, as part of that function, especially for a well-established party, the only other one with any real power besides the Republicans, as part of their job getting people elected, they have to support and promote the work of members of the party because they are also in the business of getting people re-elected. So that's their primary role, messaging and getting people to vote in elections. So we're 0 for 2 as of late on that front. Given the realities of the system we're in, part of getting people elected necessarily requires accumulating gobs and gobs of money. Money has become the greatest determining factor for winning elections. This makes the DNC very, very concerned with fundraising. So I guess you could say that's their third function, fundraising. But you fundraise, at least in theory, by messaging, communicating the plan. And so given that it is the year of our Lord 2025, a website is going to be the first place to go to start an investigation into this whole operation. Democrats.org starts with a pop-up asking for money, featuring Ken Martin, the new DNC chair, the face of the Democratic Party. He was a leader in the Minnesota Democratic Farmer-Laborer, or DFL Party, which is the name of the Democratic Party here in Minnesota. And here we have a Democratic trifecta, and with Tim Walz at the helm, a ton of progressive agenda items have passed in recent years, though there has been some unrest in our government here lately, and Democrats are holding on to the barest of majorities, but that's a story for another day. Despite that success in Minnesota, Ken Martin is about as vanilla as it gets, and putting him at the helm of the DNC makes it clear that Democratic leadership is not looking to ruffle any feathers. They want to appeal to the working class because they know that they've lost the working class to the Republicans, but they won't be doing so by changing anything or using a different playbook than the one they've been using. Once you click off Ken's face on the DNC website, you get some token brown people, love that, an opportunity to sign up for emails, spoiler, they are bad, but we'll get to that, sections about the DNC, about leadership, and about the issues, plus a contact page and a news page with press releases, and then some of the ugliest merch you could ever imagine. The About section and Leadership sections lays out the various committees and leaders, though it offers no bio for any of the leadership. The Issue section lays out the typical liberal talking points on climate change, the economy, gun reform, etc. No action items, just a few sentences about where the DNC stands on each. Clicking on Where We Stand takes you to the party platform, which is 92 pages elaborating on those issues, and was written as a precursor to the 2024 election with lots of promises about what Democrats will do when they are in charge, and no contingency plan for what they'll do if they lose. Their press releases often come from what they call the DNC War Room, and they issue statements from DNC leadership. Specifically, I looked through the entire website searching for some sort of laid-out plan related to Trump, but alas, I found none. Despite having access to Project 2025 for at least a year and a half before Trump's inauguration, they don't seem to have come up with guidance for how the party will act in the case of defeat. But listen, you don't want to bring down the vibe before an election by talking about losing, so maybe it's not something they're publicizing, it's just something they're implementing. Surely their social media and email campaigns will provide insight into what the plan is. I mean, clearly what they're doing isn't working. Trump won twice and did not lose by a very large margin in 2020, so they must be doing something to mitigate that, right? Let's start with their email campaigns. As I said, over the course of 10 days from February 13th to February 23rd, I received at least 17 emails from the DNC, potentially more that got deleted or left in spam. Surely, within those 17 urgent and important communications, there must be a wealth of information about what they're doing to stop Trump, right? Now, as someone who has managed and sent email campaigns for myself and various other organizations throughout the years, I can tell you that they're using a slimy little tactic to make it seem like these emails are coming from multiple different sources. When you send an email with some sort of email campaign managing software, you can change what the name appears as, so it doesn't show your email address, but a name that you've designated. They designate multiple different names, and they're all coming from the same email address, feedback@e.democrats.org. Yet despite all 17 emails coming from the same email address, I counted 8 different names that they used: official Democratic headquarters, the Democrats, the Democratic Party, the Democratic National Committee, DNCHQ, Democrats.org, and then the name of 2 different leaders who ostensibly wrote emails but were sent through the DNC, Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy and a person named Jason Ray, who is the secretary of the DNC. So when they're all lined up in your inbox, it just looks like lots of different emails, because if it all came from the same sender, it would just say Democratic National Committee over and over 17 times, and that would be too obvious. On February 13th, I received an email with the subject, "Please don't scroll away." In this inexplicably formatted email, for those listening to the podcast, each paragraph is separated into its own gray box, and then the donation ask is just bold, underlined, and blue like a website from 2003, and frankly, I could have HTML'd a better looking situation back in my MySpace days. Anyway, they say, "We're fighting back, and your $3 will turn us into the strong Democratic Party we need." On February 14th, I got an email from Chris Murphy via Democrats.org titled "The Power We Have." It was about the gun lobby, obviously. Happy Valentine's Day to me. To his credit, Chris Murphy, or whomsoever actually wrote wrote this email provided some actual concrete information, like naming the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act passed in 2022 and saying that in 2024, mass shootings and gun deaths fell to their lowest level in 5 years as a direct result of the changes the Democrats made to enact gun safety laws. He provides 0 links to back up any of this information, but I guess I do have Google and 10 fingers and I can fact check that myself. And I found a Forbes article with the exact title, U.S. Mass Shootings and Gun Deaths Fell to Lowest Level in 5 Years in 2024, which would have been a great link to include in the email. But what do I know? And it does confirm exactly what they're saying, though it does note that there was a violent surge in 2020 because of COVID, and researchers are still trying to identify cause and effect. But hey, a tangible example of something Democrats have done that promotes their agenda. They did it back in 2022, but sure. Let's see if I can find one single additional example in all of these emails. Spoiler, she does not. That same day, February 14th, I got an email titled, "Instead of cutting costs, ... And this is how you know these emails are being written or edited by fucking boomers, because no one knows how to use an ellipse in an eerie and often incorrect way, quite like boomers and elder Gen Xers do. Anyone who's worked with a boomer boss knows the move, just foreboding ellipses sprinkled throughout in ways that defy logic and common sense, at least for people with basic literacy levels. And yet, the email lists all the ways Trump hasn't cut costs for Americans. Then it asks for $30 to help the DNC grow the long-term infrastructure needed to elect Democrats at every level of government to check Trump's power. How will they do it? Well, by building infrastructure. Duh! On February 15th, I got an email titled, in all lowercase letters, "Staying in the fight," including an arrow. I've noticed they love using an arrow at the end of every subject line. Maybe someone at DNC headquarters found a study that said it really entices people to click, so they decided to really run with it. They start off by telling me this is a long email. Great, thrilling. I'm so ready to settle in and read this long email. You've really sold me by telling me up front that it's long. To whoever is writing these emails, I'd like to just recommend a book called Smart Brevity by the founders of Axios. I'm not going to say that this writing style is great for every occasion, but holy shit. If you could just get a few pointers on how to use fewer words and still keep it interesting, that would be amazing. Instead of a paragraph telling me the email is long and what's in the email I'm about to read, just put a header that says read time 2 minutes. I get all the info I need from that. Also, I timed it, and this email took me 45 seconds to read. So I don't know, it just seems completely counterproductive to tell people who are already sick of your emails that, hey, here's a long one, buddy, strap in. In this email, they highlight that even though we lost, our hard work wasn't in vain because of the very slim majority Republicans have. And now we need to organize early to invest in races and build a strong Democratic Party. It says, quote, "If we stay engaged, invest in the right places, and keep doing the work, we can win." Is that the full game plan? Engage, invest, and do work? Got any specifics you want to share? If this were a Kickstarter campaign, you'd be off to a really bad start. But it's not, and also there's the last 8 years of proof that there is no real game plan, and there are no hard lessons learned from losing to Trump twice. So how are things going to change in the DNC to account for those losses? Who knows? On both February 16th and February 22nd, I received identical emails with the subject line, "Tonight, ... because they say they want $3 from me by tonight. Why? Well, here's a list of all the bad things Trump and Elon Musk have done. And then they claim Democrats are fighting back, and they need my money to build the long-term infrastructure to win in 2026 and 2028. What infrastructure? Who knows? My brothers in Christ, you biffed it in 2024 and 2016 and learned nothing. My $3 cannot help you. On February 17th and again on February 23rd, I received identical emails with the subject line, $3. I bet you can guess what they were asking me for. Yeah, it was $3. You got it, buddy. In it, they say they deserve my $3 because the DNC is the organization best positioned to move urgent resources to the places they're needed most as we take on the fights ahead. Is it? Can you show me that in any way? Also on February 17th, I got an email from DNC HQ titled, "We are not powerless," arrow, and when you open it, you not, a giant 1-minute timer starts counting down. So they took my advice about just laying out how long of a read it is, but instead made it incredibly foreboding and off-putting. When the timer runs out, it blinks a very menacing red. Hate that in almost every way imaginable. The body of the email tells me that we can and will fight back against Trump, but to do that, we need a strong Democratic Party, which requires a massive amount of resources. So they need $3. But we promise the Democratic National Committee is the organization best positioned to move resources where they're most needed. Why? How? Please, for the love of God, show me in any tangible way. It might technically be correct that they're the best positioned because we exist in a two-party system and they are the other party, but damn! Taking that fact for granted, that there's no one else but us, is how we got in this mess to begin with. Who is the audience for these emails? On February 18th, I received an email titled, "Here's the situation," arrow. They tell me, hey, we're going to ask you to donate. If you let us, we'll explain why your support is so important right now. Oh, okay, great. So you'll tell me what you're going to do with my $3? Oh no, it's that at the end of the month, they have to report on how much money they've raised. And so to really show Trump that we're putting up a fight, we got to make sure that report says lots of money. We're not done fighting. Let's show him. And yes, we are in a system where money is truly the sole determiner of who wins elections, but it is not the hard sell you think it is to tell me that you're fighting back through a bank balance. Then that same day, February 18th, I received a second email titled, "Here is what Democrats are doing to stand up to Trump and Elon Musk." Finally, some tangible things. They've heard the growing complaints, and this is the email where they are answering those calls for tangible action. In it, there's a list of 10 things that Democrats have done in recent weeks to stand up to Trump and Elon Musk. Let's see, they voted against confirming RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. Great. 191 House and Senate Democrats sent a letter. Wow. They filed an amicus brief. There were a few lawsuits. Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania is suing over a funding freeze. Democratic attorneys general filed a lawsuit to challenge DOJ. They held a rally outside the Department of Veterans Affairs. A couple acts were introduced that won't go anywhere, and they've said they'll keep doing everything in their power, and they'll update us as the work continues. Oh, also, please give us $3. And this fractured list of actions taken by Democrats to fight back against a tyrannical government is a start, I guess. Clearly, they're trying to take into consideration the calls to actually literally do anything, but it in no way presents a united front, a united plan to actually do everything in their power. This goes back to that infuriating NPR podcast episode. They just can't do anything, just a few procedural things, and that's it. Okay, and they're not even doing that. The bar is on the floor. I want to see a plan for f***ing up. Any plan at all, for the love of God. The next day, February 19th, I got an email called, "We're not done fighting." Oh, great. I hadn't realized the fight had started at all, but that's good to know. In it, they tell me Trump is bad, but they will fight back if only they had a strong, organized Democratic Party. But they don't, because I still haven't given them $3. That same day, they sent me another email titled, "Democrats will fight against Trump's war on working people." Oh my God, cool. How? By being united behind the kitchen table issues that connect us all, they say. Here's a long-ass memo by DNC Chair Ken Martin, also give us $3. The memo lays out that Democrats fumbled the ball with American workers who now see Republicans as the party of the working class. All right, we've identified the problem, or at least a problem. That's a great first step. What are we going to do about it? It says, quote, "Democrats will stand with unions and up for all working people in Congress, in state houses, on picket lines, and in the streets." Okay, by doing what? It's a secret. He spends the rest of the memo telling us why Trump is bad for working people, trying to play on our fears, and then offering zero tangible solutions other than a promise that he's gonna be on the side of the worker every day. We're gonna do it. The next day, February 20th, I got an email titled, "Rather than working to bring down costs, here's what Trump is doing." Okay, but what are you doing? Holy shit. That same day, I got one titled, "Why Your Support is So Important Right Now." Spoiler, it's because Trump and Elon are bad, now give us $3. On February 21st, they sent an email from Jason Ray via Democrats.org. He is the secretary of the DNC, and this email is meant to introduce him, I guess, even though he's been the secretary since 2017. The title of the email is, between parentheses, "Introduction, : which was either a horrible subject line or a typo. Both options aren't great. Jason Ray is, can you guess? Yeah, he's asking me for $3 to mobilize against Trump and elect Democrats. On February 22nd, their email was titled, "In the words of DNC Chair Ken Martin, arrow." It starts with a fun little quote over a picture of DNC Chair Ken Martin talking about how it's time to roll up our sleeves and build the infrastructure to win elections again. What does that mean? Well, the email says it means to invest in state parties nationwide, organize year-round, and reach voters where they are, making sure Democrats' message is breaking through on all platforms. What message? Are these emails an example of how you plan to break through on all platforms? Okay, what other platforms might we break through on? Let's check out social media. On Blue Sky and Twitter, they're mostly retweeting things posted by Democrats. On February 21st, they posted a graphic titled, "What Democrats Did Today," which is an interesting start. Their Instagram is abysmal, but whose isn't? That place is a cemetery. Their TikTok is still showing similar vibes to Kamala's Brat Summer, which feels like a literal lifetime ago. But across their social media, they're mainly just making fun of Trump and Elon and reposting fear-mongering content from media outlets. It looks like these "What Democrats Did Today" posts on Twitter and Instagram are new as of the last week or two, but it's not enough. The DNC doesn't even have consistent branding across their social media posts, let alone consistent messaging. It's a barrage of information guided by zero clear game plan. Also, 684,000 followers on Instagram, and most reels are getting under 100,000 views. I've seen dogs with better traction, my dudes, literally. I even ventured into the bowels of the internet, Facebook, to look at their platform there. With with 1.7 million followers, their posts are getting a couple thousand likes at best. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that Facebook has been overrun with bots, but even still, that's bleak, y'all. And on YouTube, don't even get me started. 78,000 subscribers, are you kidding me? So when the DNC sends me an email saying they're going to break through on all platforms with their messaging, my questions are, what platforms? And what messaging? My $3 is not the problem here. There is no cohesive vision, and there is no dynamic messenger of that vision. There are dynamic messengers within the Democratic Party, but the DNC is too cowardly and beholden to moneyed interests to actually do something like put AOC in positions of power or do anything to genuinely amplify a voice like Jasmine Crockett's or someone. Bernie Sanders is in the process of going on a one-man show tour to talk about fighting oligarchy with no apparent support from the DNC. I don't see any mention of his kickoff on their social media or press release pages. And I know he's an independent, but he's a close partner of the Democratic Party and is actually doing something. And moneyed interests in our politics, what he's talking about and has been for decades, is an issue that can be easily packaged and could bring a lot of disparate people together to agree on at least one thing, and that is money is ruining representative democracy. The problem is that it's ruining it on both sides of the aisle, including at the DNC, where they feel beholden to moneyed interests because money is the only thing that wins elections. But it appears even the money might be running out. According to reporting from The Hill and the New York Times, angry Democratic donors are turning off the flow of money. The Hill article quotes a number of Democratic donors. "I'll be blunt here. The Democratic Party is f***ing terrible, plain and simple," one major Democratic donor said. "In fact, it doesn't get much worse." A second donor was equally as pointed. "They want us to spend money, and for what? For no message, no organization, no forward thinking. The thing that's clear to a lot of us is that the party never really learned its lesson in 2016. They worked off the same playbook and the same ineffective strategies, and to what end?" The article goes on to quote Democratic strategist Jamal Simmons, who's convinced Democratic donors will come back naturally when they see that Trump is hostile to progressive values, saying the election loss was a heartbreak, but, quote, "one way that will help get them over the heartbreak is how infuriating the new guy is." And therein lies one of the huge misconceptions in their messaging, that somehow telling us and showing us over and over again that Trump is f***ing awful will get us back on their side. We all know Trump is a f***ing ghoul. Inundating us with a deluge of proof that he's horrible does not make me think, wow, we really need to fund the Democrats, the party with absolutely zero plan for how to beat this guy, the party that is so devoid of a plan that they can't even do the basic procedural things necessary to slow the guy down while Republicans still have power. The reality is that traditional strategy is not the thing that's going to beat Trump because he's not playing by any rule book other than what's laid out in Project 2025. And we can absolutely bemoan a two-party system that got us into this mess, though I will say places in Europe like Germany, where they have coalition governments, are also struggling against increasing popularity of far-right factions. So I don't think the absence of a two-party system is the end-all be-all solution for the ills facing America. We are in a global political moment wherein resources feel scarce and fear of outsiders is growing. That's true no matter where you go, it seems. And capitalism is, of course, to blame for a lot of this. It has beget a lot of the inequality that's making people feel so desperate, not to mention the burgeoning climate crisis. But if you've watched me for any amount of time, you may notice that I'm also not one to call for the proletariat uprising that armchair socialists who read Marx once and like to call me a lib derogatorily think is the solution to all our problems either. Hassan Piker recently described me as an Elizabeth Warren Democrat, as in like still a simp for the Democratic Party and definitely not like a real leftist, but not a total DNC shill. Which, like, first of all, I just want to point out the sexism, that it's always men in my comments section, or Hassan himself, I guess, who I don't have a problem with and tend to agree with and appreciate that he gives airtime to my shit. I'm not starting beef, who consider me to be not leftist enough because, well, I'm not really sure, because I don't have a poster of Che Guevara in the background of my videos, because I don't perform my leftism in the correct way. I don't know. But Elizabeth Warren is even seen as too radical within the Democratic Party, so I guess I'll take it. Because as I've already said, there are more progressive voices within the Democratic Party, as well as Bernie Sanders, who's an independent, that are not being propped up by the DNC or taken seriously in any way, despite the fact that they're presenting messaging that could very well unite people who have otherwise abandoned the Democratic Party for being too stiff and corporate. The New York Times recently ran an article titled "Chris Murphy Emerges as a Clear Voice for Democrats Countering Trump." And I think it makes some good points. Chris Murphy is a senator from Connecticut who has spent most of his career working on gun control laws because the Sandy Hook shooting happened a couple weeks after he was elected to the Senate. But since the election, he's been one of few institutional Democratic voices that has had clear messaging, and he's figured out what I've been screaming for, I don't know, years at this point on this channel, which is that focusing on getting getting money out of politics is a strategy that has the potential to unite a lot of people, including working class people who have abandoned the Democratic Party in favor of Trump, despite their best interests. Do I think Chris Murphy is the populist leader the Democrats need to counter Trump at this moment in time? No. But he's been in the Senate a while and has the ear of other Democrats and seems to be on a mission to convince them to speak out more against moneyed interests in Washington. He's been making appearances on lefty talk shows, podcasts, and social media, and has begun posting his own videos across social media to make bite-sized statements on things happening in our government in ways that are easy to digest and more engaging than emails asking for $3 or wordy press releases. And the fact that he showed up in my inbox from an official DNC email tells me the DNC isn't afraid of him either, probably precisely because he's not dynamic or diverse in a way that they think might make him controversial. He's a basic white guy in a suit, but he's saying things that the rest of us have already been talking about. And that's a big deal, because he's saying it in rooms with people who would not think of saying those things of their own accord. And he's connecting the dots for them in a similar way that he's trying to connect the dots for people on social media, because he also recognizes what's happening in our media landscape as well. People have begun to trust traditional news media less. Numbers on CNN and NBC have been falling, while people are increasingly turning to news commentators on social media instead, for better or for worse. Even though you guys know that we're not real journalists, right? Like, we're getting our news from the same sources that you don't trust. But then you do trust me to filter the news and connect the dots where, frankly, journalists and news sources tend not to. And that is trust I take very seriously, and I do my best to deep dive into all the angles and present it in a way that's easy to digest, because most people don't have time to, for example, do an analysis of the 17 emails they received from the DNC in a 10-day period. So I do think I provide value, but I do also caution you from thinking that news commentators on social media are journalists. I am not an independent news agency. I am a lawyer who's good at researching and then presenting what I've found in a comprehensive, big picture way. But I've seen a surge in my numbers since the election and can anecdotally confirm the reports that traditional media is out and social media is in as a source for news. And many of you tell me that you prefer to get news from me because you do trust me, and also having someone to filter the news so you're not just hit with an onslaught and unsure where to start is a nice way to avoid complete overload and burnout. I get it. Would I prefer lackluster numbers in a rather mundane news cycle under a Kamala Harris presidency? Absolutely. So please don't think I consider it a victory. It's just a sign to me that Chris Murphy is on the right track, again, for better or for worse. People want to hear directly from their representatives and not in a email asking for $3. And people want to understand what's going on, but they don't want to be spoken to like they're idiots, like that NPR podcast I'm still mad about, nor do they have time to sit down and read a long-form article from The Atlantic because they're generally too busy with having their labor exploited by billionaires while trying to figure out how to afford $10 eggs. Of course, there is no one-and-done solution for the deep organizational and messaging problems that the Democratic Party has, but what they're doing clearly is not working. And if they don't get their shit together, given the realities of the two-party system we live in, there isn't going to be much standing between Trump and just never holding presidential elections again. The DNC needs to take off that stupid 𝗬𝗎𝗎, leave Washington, D.C. for like 5 seconds, and look to strategies that are actually working from people like Chris Murphy, Bernie Sanders, AOC, to actually get messaging to people. But first, they need to actually have a cohesive action plan and, an actual message in order to get their messaging on track. And I hope for all our sakes that they get a clue soon. If you'd like to support my work, the #1 best way to do so is to join me over on Patreon, where you'll get ad-free, uncensored access to all of these episodes. And I just launched the Why America Co-Learning Lab, a learning community having discussions and making connections, along with a monthly syllabus curated by me. All year, we'll be covering topics under the umbrella theme of Eat the Rich, building solidarity in the new Gilded Age. February's topic is all about how to build a movement even when you're feeling overwhelmed as hell. This is all hosted over on Patreon, which is linked down below. If you're interested, please join us, patreon.com/LeejaMiller. Thank you to my multi-platinum patrons, Thomas Orff, Sarah Shelby, Art, David, RH, Latranger Lucas, Joshua Cole, Thomas Johnson, and Tay. Your generosity makes this channel what it is, so thank you. And if you liked this episode, you'll like the one from last Wednesday, where I talk about Trump's latest move to enact Project 2025. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye!